Hey guys, I'm Dave and welcome to the Trull Gallery. Today, we're going to make a curved shelf. One of my clients has a curved wall in the front room of their home, and it's kind of their hangout area, and they wanted a shelf where they could put up some pictures and maybe hold a glass or two. And while this didn't start off as a video project, as I got into it, I realized there were a lot of interesting aspects to it. So with that said, let's see if we can make a curved shelf to fit their curved wall. When they first moved in, I set my laser in place to give me a few reference points to work off of. In the grand scheme of things, this shouldn't be too complicated. I took these points and laid out the curve on some 1/4" MDF. To my surprise, the curve of the wall isn't a simple semicircle. I guess that when 2x4s and drywall come together, the shape can get off kilter. It's not enough to see by eye, but a smooth curve did not match the wall. Okay, plan B. I took several small pieces of paper and set them in place along the curve and taped them together to give me a pattern. I transferred this pattern to more MDF, and while this got me closer, the 1/4" and baseboard added some additional errors. At least this time I was close enough to be able to scribe the curve onto my pattern. I'm still not positive this is correct, but we'll check on that shortly. I traced the pattern on a sheet of ply with what I think is the correct offset. They want an 8" wide shelf, so for now I used a scrap of ply with a hole 8 inches away from the edge to trace the rough outline of the outer edge. I know this isn't perfect, but it will do for the planning stages. I connected the ends of the curve with a long straight edge, then divided that into 10 equal segments, but that seemed like too many. So I drew a line from the intersection of the curve ends to every other line, leaving me with 5 segments. I think I can work with this. Because I'm not dealing with a smooth curve, my segments were slightly different sizes. It's not a big deal, but it would have been easier if everything was nice and round and even. To get an idea of how large my pieces would need to be, I first connected the inside points where my lines intersected the arch. To get enough clearance for the outside of the arch, I extended my lines 1 inch beyond the arch, and then drew the second set of lines. I can now measure the length and width of the 5 pieces I'd need for the glue-up. Each piece would be at least 9 inches wide, and I had 4 different lengths. One at 12 inches, one at 13 inches, 2 at 16 inches, and the end piece was 17 inches. At least I think that's what I need. I picked up some 5/4 soft maple, and the first thing I had to do was clean up one edge. I used my straight edge jig at the table saw for that. I cross-cut my stock to manageable sizes beforehand rather than trying to clean up an 8-foot board. With one clean edge, I could loose the jig and rip the second side parallel. I kept the stock as wide as possible to give me more wiggle room later. Just in case. Each of those pieces was cut down to the length I needed at the miter saw, and yes, they're about 1 inch longer than what I really need. The stock I had was too narrow, so I glued up each pair to give me the width for the shelf. Gluing them up in pairs saves on clamps and a little time. Once the glue had dried, I ran all my stock through the planer to even up the joints and mill the stock down to 1 inch. Taking my pieces back to my full-size drawing, I laid out the pieces one at a time to mark the joints. I transferred the lines on my drawing to the edge of the stock, used a square to extend those lines, and then connected the dots on the face. I also labeled each piece and the pattern so I wouldn't mix them up later. Once all 5 pieces were laid out, it was time to make the cuts. Like most things in woodworking, there are several ways to figure out the angle of these lines. The first option is to use a digital angle gauge. This first angle came in at 94.2 degrees or 4.2 degrees off of 90. I can take that over to my miter saw and set the saw for a 4-degree cut. This got me close to my line, but not exact, so I made a few minor adjustments until the blade was at just the right angle, And when I was happy with the location, I made my cut. Another option is to use a sliding T-bevel. This won't tell you the angle, but you can still use it to set your saw. Still, I double check, touching the blade on both ends of my line to make sure the angle is as close as I can get it. With all my angles cut, I can lay the stock back on the drawing to verify that everything looks correct. After taping the joints together, I laid my pattern on the stock and traced the shape of the wall curve. I added the outside curve as well, and while it isn't the final layout, it gives me the information I need to lay out my joinery. These are butt joints and they're notoriously weak on their own. I plan to use number 20 biscuits to strengthen my joints. The slot for these biscuits measures about 2 5/8 of an inch long, and since I don't want them to be seen once the curve is cut, I have to set them in from the edge. I made a mark at each joint 2 inches in from my line, and I just hope that's far enough. If they show on the inside, it's no big deal, but if they're on the outside, well, I'll have to hide that later. For now, I'll just extend those lines across both sides of the joint and call it a day. I had one hell of a cold and I ran out of steam after about 2 hours of work. The next day I was rested and ready to go, at least for an hour or so. I set up my biscuit joiner for a number 20 biscuit and set my depth to the center of my stock. Now I can align the mark of the cutter to my tick marks and plunge in for all my cuts. Dowels or floating tenons would also work well here, but dowels are slower and I'm still waiting for the folks at Festool to gift me one of their fancy domino tools. Since I have 5 angle joints to assemble, I figured I'd show you a couple of different options to clamp things together. For the first joint, I cut in notches in the waist area that will give me a place for my clamps. These are end grain joints and they can soak up a lot of glue, so I applied it to both faces. The biscuits are set in place and the stock lined up using my tick marks. And now I can add the clamps. In hindsight, the second inner cutout could have been much larger to allow more room for the clamp. Adding a C-clamp to that side helped offset the angle of the clamp pull, if that makes any sense. The excess glue was wiped off and set aside to dry. The second joint is a bit straighter, so I'll try simple clamping. Again, lots of glue, 2 biscuits, and a couple of clamps to pull things tight. I'm still working at a bit of an angle, so adding pressure slowly between the two pulls the pieces together. I did get a little lift on one side, so I added a C-clamp there as well. The next option is clamping 2 cauls on either side of the pieces you're joining. By having cauls top and bottom, you don't have to worry about your C-clamps marring the face of your stock. After adding the glue and biscuits like before, you can use the cauls to pull the joint together with your clamps. An alternative to clamping the cauls is using painter's tape and CA glue. The painter's tape is there to protect your materials and the cauls. Lay a bead of CA glue on your cauls, spray the tape on your stock with an accelerator and press the two together. Keeping the cauls parallel or nearly so to the joint will help with the clamping. Let them sit for a minute or two and then glue and clamp as before. Once the glue is dried, remove the clamps and peel off the blue tape, leaving the face of your stock clean. After the glue had time to dry, like 4 days, the cauls and tape came right off, leaving a solid joint. I verified my pattern one more time and then traced the inner shape onto my stock. I cut just outside my line with a jigsaw and a new blade. I'm hoping that a sharp blade would wander less on this 1-inch thick maple. I cut as close to my line as possible to make the next step easier. A bandsaw would be great here, but I just knew that mine would be more work than it's worth. I used several pieces of double stick tape to secure the pattern to my stock, and used a pattern cutting bit to clean up my cut. This particular bit has a 3/8 inch cutting depth, so I made 2 passes cleaning up most of the curve. I flipped my stock over, switched to a spiral flush trim bit, and cleaned up the last of the curve. I mentioned that this is not a simple semicircle, but more like a random arc. To mark the other side of the shelf, I made a jig. The 2 dowels run against the inside curve, and the pencil is set in place 8 inches away, and that'll mark the second edge even with the first. When I slipped with my marking jig, I just went back, held it tight against the inside of the curve, and knew that the outer line was correct. The ends are cut square, well, to something, and I cut these with my track saw. Since the stock is so narrow, I made sure to clamp my track in place before making my cut, and then the other side was cut the same way. I grabbed my jigsaw and made the outer cut. Again, I cut as close to my line as I could, and I really took my time here. This edge will show, and I want it to be as neat as possible. It took me nearly 8 minutes to make the cut. I was working carefully since I don't have an outer template. This will have to be cleaned up with my sander. I'm really not a fan of belt sanders, but I thought this would quickly take care of any blade drift and even out the cut marks. My theory was sound, my belts not so much. They were good quality, but I lost 5 belts in a matter of minutes. The only thing I can think of is that they're so old the glue on the seams just let go, much like my patience after that last belt. The rest of the cleanup was done with my random orbit sander and took way too long. Moving on, I put an 1/8 inch roundover bit in my palm router and eased all the outer edges, top and bottom. I left the inner curve square since that'll be against that curved wall. With that done, I gave the entire shelf one last sanding at 180 grit to prepare it for finishing. I gave it a coat of primer on all sides, and when each coat was dry, I sanded everything with 220 grit paper. I came back with 2 coats of cabinet grade paint, giving it one last sanding at 220 before the final coat. After sitting in the shop for a month, it was time to install the shelf. And since I was on the clock, please bear with my use of photos instead of video. I started the install by locating the studs to hold the shelf brackets. I also used my laser to mark the top holes, and then the lower holes of the brackets. This ensured that the shelf would be level when I was finished. I pre-drilled into the studs and mounted the 4 brackets with number 10 by 2 inch wood screws. Once they were in place, I went back and pre-drilled for the center screws and drove those in as well. The angle of one of the brackets was off just a bit, but with it securely fastened to the wall, I could bend it back until it was in line with the rest. Now I could set the shelf in place and secure it to the brackets, this time with some number 10 by 3/4 inch screws. The fit of the shelf to the wall, although not perfect, was way closer than I could have hoped. I mentioned to my clients that if they paint the lower arms of the brackets to match the wall, they'd blend in nicely. The jury is still out on that update, though. The biggest challenge of this build was determining the curve of that wall, and while it did take a few attempts, in the end it matches pretty well. Maybe next time you have to glue up some odd shape, you'll remember 1 or 2 of the clamping methods I used, and they'll help you out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. Is there something I could have done easier, smarter, safer? Drop in the comments below, I'd love to hear. As usual, I'll add links to some of the tools and equipment I used in this video and some of the tools I use here in the shop on a daily basis. Some of them have affiliate links, and should you happen to need one of those items and purchase it through those links, it does help keep this channel going. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and share it with friends. If you haven't already, maybe it's time to hit that subscribe button and a little bell so you get notified each time I put out a new video. Don't have a clue what's coming up next, but it should be something interesting. So until then, have a great day, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.